call the meeting to order. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Amy, if you could call the roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Siebold.
Present.
Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Dawson.
Present.
Ms. King.
Present.
And Ms. Gungeon.
Present.
Okay, all are here. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. We need to elect a secretary today. Is there a motion?
Motion to nominate Amy Francis.
Second.
Second by Ms. King. All in favor, indicate by
Aye.
saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations, Amy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving on to new business. Today we have an update from the Bureau of Planning and Zoning. Jackie Spry and Cooper Moore.
Good afternoon, zoning hearing members. My name is Jackie Spry. I am the Bureau Chief of the Planning and Zoning Department at the City of Erie. I think this is the first time that I'm addressing this board. I want to make you aware that there's been some changes internally at the City of Erie that you've probably heard of, but planning and zoning are back together again. Over the last couple of years, zoning was not with planning, but we are now all under the Department of Neighborhood and Economic Development. And within that umbrella lives the Planning and Zoning, Bureau of Planning and Zoning, the Bureau of Grants for Department of Economic and Community Development, and also the Code Enforcement, which is now known as Building Safety and Inspections. There you go. So there's been some changes, but it's good because it's the framework is that we're all moving in the same direction. We're working together. We have a different communication framework, and so it's been very helpful to have us all under that same umbrella. With planning now working so closely with zoning, which makes sense because we're inextricably connected. Maybe we can close that door, possibly, if you don't mind. Thank you. Because we're so inextricably connected, there are some things that you should be aware of that have happened in the last year and that are occurring currently. Last year, we applied for a state grant called the Municipal's Assistance Planning Grant to rewrite the zoning ordinance and SALDO. I hope you were aware of that in progress. Unfortunately, we were not awarded that grant for several reasons. One, they were inundated with grants and just didn't have enough funding to fund all of these proposals. And two, really we were sort of the cart before the horse. This year, our comprehensive plan, which we call Erie Refocus, is 10 years old. And so I think the state really wanted us to have the traditional comprehensive plan development, and then that, of course, would guide the zoning ordinance rewrite and the SALDO rewrite. So we've listened, we've had discussions with the state, and of course with the new administration. We've determined that we are going to apply for a state MAP grant again, which is due April 1st, for the development of a comprehensive plan. Not a rewrite, but an actual new development of a new comprehensive plan that will guide growth, guide housing, all of those environmental land use concerns, all of it together. And then in turn, we would then apply for an additional grant, hopefully, maybe even within the next year, for a full rewrite of the zoning ordinance in Saldo. So that is the process that we're taking right now. Are there any questions regarding that? Because that eventually will impact this board, only in that you will have a new code that you will have to uphold. So the code that we were looking at and we applied for last year was what they call a hybrid code. So not only was it the typical Euclidean land use and the type of zoning that we're used to, but it was also very much focused on form. And so we were marrying those two together, and it would have been a very different code and a code that would provide for what the city needs. And so that's why the comprehensive plan is so important, because that will guide the land use laws that will be put in place. Any questions around that, or the approach that the city is taking and supported very much by our new administration? Okay. Second, I just wanted to also inform you, because may affect land use changes and regulations coming down, but we were awarded $20 million through the Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant. You may be aware that in 2024, we completed a safety action plan, which really focused on the high injury network of the city, on fatal injuries and serious suspected injuries. So those are injuries that have life-changing effects. We then, after that was completed, the previous administration applied for a Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant, and we were the largest grant actually in the Commonwealth. And there were only 11 nationwide that received 20 million or more. So it was very exciting for us. We're currently working on the first RFP. We're waiting to sign the agreement, then working on the first RFP for supplemental planning. That includes traffic safety audits. It includes the finalization of a complete streets policy and also traffic calming measures. So there's a lot going on in terms of our infrastructure and streets. And then lastly, I just wanted to give you another update about another project we're working on, which may affect also land use, is our comprehensive recreation, parks, and open space plan. We are 1 year, almost a little bit over 1 year into this project. This is a citywide comprehensive 20-year plan for our 51 parks in the city of Erie. It has been extremely valuable for our department, for the administration, not only to hear about and see what we have, the tangible things we have and amenities we have, but also those programs and recreational needs that are of our city, of our community. So we just finished up about 30 one-on-one meetings with stakeholders, organizations from Asbury Woods, Presque Isle Partnership, the Children's Museum, Art House, all the neighborhood groups, all these different YMCA, all these different organizations that either have worked with the city with the recreation, with the Parks and Recreation Guide, or that there's potential there to partnership with the city. So, and what the parks could be as an amenity to their program. So it was very interesting. We are moving now into the recommendation phase of that project, and we are hopeful that we'll have a draft completed by April and a fully adopted plan by middle of June. So to be determined, and also once that plan is complete, we do have $4 million set aside from the ARP funds that are sitting there waiting for implementation and leveraging additional funds. So we are ready to get to work on that plan. So thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to Cooper, who's the assistant.
Before you go.
Oh, yes.
Does parks include the golf courses?
Does parks
Does
include?
parks include the golf course?
Well, we're looking at all of that as a complex there. Yes, that's city land. Yes, so it would include the golf course. We have not included Downing in our analysis or our recommendations because Downing lies outside of the city limits. Although we are looking at it as in terms of the financials and the impact that it has on the city.
Okay.
I'm going to pass it over to Cooper Moore. He's the assistant planner of the Bureau of Planning and Zoning, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about our subdivision and land development process and the amendments that we've done in the last year. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Cooper Moore, I'm the assistant planner, like Jackie said. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the subdivision and land development ordinance. You're all very familiar with the zoning ordinance, which dictates what can go where and how it sits on the site. The subdivision and land development ordinance is a very comprehensive ordinance that covers our land review process comprehensively. So subdivisions and land developments, subdivisions being the moving or creating of new lot lines, and then land developments are any new construction within the city, with a couple of exceptions. We don't need to see single-family housing or additions to an existing building under 5,000 square feet or any kind of interior renovation. So the SALDO process, when we get in an application, involves not only our bureau, but also the Bureau of Engineering here at the city, where they do their stormwater reviews and ensure that any public infrastructure that's necessary is also being constructed as part of the process. And we also forward any projects on to the county planning department so they can do their reviews as well. After all the reviews are completed, if everything checks out, the project goes in front of the Planning Commission. And somewhat uniquely in the city of Erie, the Planning Commission has final authority on any subdivision or land development. They never go to City Council. Recent amendments that we made to the SALDO last fall, the buzzwords there were clarity and consistency, and we were bringing them in line with state regulations like the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. And we just really wanted to make sure that any applicant knows what to expect and that they should expect it every time. So we streamlined the process, we clarified what needs to be submitted for any subdivision or land development, and set out a timeline that we stick to with every project. With the new amendments, excuse me, we held a session with developers, architects, surveyors, and anyone who was interested really about 5 weeks ago. And we had over 100 attendees where we went through what the SALDO is, what they should expect when they apply, resources that we have available to them, and everything else really that they could want to know about the amendments. And the available resources, the last little thing I wanted to mention, we have done some pretty extensive changes to the SALDO page on the city's website. We've instituted a new online application that's much easier both for an applicant to fill out and also for us to track the projects. It tracks dates and everything for us automatically. Any necessary files can be uploaded right through that application. And all the tracking is done on the back end of that application as well. Everything else is listed on the website with links to any additional external resources that might be relevant, such as FEMA guidelines or anything that has to do with stormwater. And I think that's all I have to share about the SALDO. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Appreciate the updates.
Ms. Gunjan, if we could announce Lydia. I forgot to add that to the new business, since she's fairly new.
Indeed, we could do that. To Amy's point, Attorney Lydia Caparosa from McDowell & Illig, Jones & Britton is the new solicitor for the Zoning Hearing Board. After an extensive RFP process and interview process, it was the unanimous consent of the board to enter into a contract with Lydia. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I'm happy to be here. It's nice that I only have to walk up a couple blocks for my meetings instead of, and have them in the middle of the day, so I'm quite pleased with
Yes,
that. So,
good.
happy to be here supporting you all.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other new business, let's move along to approval of the December 10th meeting minutes and the February 10th meeting minutes. I understand there is one amendment, correction on the spelling of Selena's first name. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved, Johnson.
Second.
Second, Mr. Dawson. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. No voting decisions today, no continued hearings, no appeals to be heard, and no unfinished business. So with that, we are at adjournment.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.